Alrighty, so this is going to be a video on how to create a rubric in Compass. I'm just going to do it for me, but it should be you should be able to interpret what I'm doing and put it into your own subject. The first thing we need is a rubric concept, or even one that you've already created previously. Now, I have a few. Each time I give out an assessment task, I create a rubric so that the students can see what the marking guide is going to be for and what they're required to achieve. I'm going to use one that I haven't done a rubric for in Compass yet, but you can see what I'm doing. So this is what you see here is a summative assessment. It's actually a formal assessment task for my Year 11s. They are required to do this one this term, and they are feverishly working on it. So what's going to happen is that they will submit their work to me, possibly on Compass or on OneNote, or email me their assessment task. I don't mind how they submit it, it's up to them, but I then need to mark it. And you can see here that I have got a few things that they need to do, and I've got marks allocated for that. But what I'll do is I'll do a common grading scale for these so that you can see how it works. And it's not necessarily exactly perfect how I would use it, but people have requested how to actually do this. So first thing we need to do is we need to log into Compass. And you're probably already logged in, but please be patient with me. I'm going to log into Compass in our 14-step process of security. Sorry, it's not 14, is it? It's 22. Okay, so here's my Compass page. You can see that my timetable. Oh, I missed playground duty today. Oh well. So it's wise to create all of your learning tasks in the school resources, which is what I call, the back end of Compass. Now, I'm in TAS, of course, and I have a number of different learning tasks and assessments and things in there. But in Stage 6, I haven't got really anything in there for software design because I've only started teaching this subject at our school this year. So first thing I'm going to do is I've got just basic folder system set up. I would add in there homework and learning tasks and things like that in there. But this is going to have an assessment task in there. So what we do first of all is create the rubric. So if I need to add some content, so I'm going to add the rubric, and the rubric's name. Now, I think as far as naming conventions go, you'll see in a moment why it's important that you name these right. I'm going to just put Blackwell, and I will put my subject, software design development. It's actually software design and development, but I'm just going to do that, and there's a reason why I'm doing this. So first of all, you'll see that in my marking guide, you would say, all right, there's 1, 2, 3 criteria for the grading. So if I go, all right, add the first row. Now the first row is going to be requirement report. So this is what I'm going to mark. Right, so requirement report. And the description can be anything. This is task 1. Oh, no, this is actually problem 1 situation, right? Because they've got to write a requirement report for a piece of software. Okay, so we've got requirement report now. That's okay. Now what we need to do is we're going to add the grading scale to this. So if we add, all right, so let's say, all right, we're gonna work backwards. So we've got grade A. All right, so if they can see that this is grade A. Now, grade A hasn't got any descriptions yet, but I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to say grade B, capital B. Let's make capital B. Add another one, we'll say, all right, grade C and grade D and grade E. We need it, but let's not try to use it. Now, this is the thing about this, is that with a common grading scale, you could use the words that we're all used to, you know, so you could outstanding, you know, average, all those sort of words that come in with a common grading scale. Now, you could find those in your you know, your support documents for your syllabus if you want to, and you can apply them in here. And you know, it sounds like I'm trying to tell you to suck eggs, but you don't have to, because you get what I'm saying. However, you can add different things in here if you want to. So for me, let's say I want to do, okay, the first point here clearly clarifies the specs, right, and specifications of software solution. You could say clearly, or you could copy them in. I'm just going to the specs. I'm just going to write that because you can put in that whole dot point if you want, but this is an image, so I'm not going to. Well, this was taken from me not reinventing the wheel, and so I can't copy and paste that. I could, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to. You could copy and paste that into there, so into this bit here. So I'm just going to add that. All right, and then we say, okay, so that says that one there. I could go back and I could add the next dot point, which is clearly articulates how the solution will address. You know, I can say, you know, you could articulates, right? And I'm just going to go blah 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 dot dot, right? And then we can put those ones in there, all right? So that I forgot to add it in. I'm glad I did that wrong, because you know, we need comedy in this day and age. Clearly articulates dot 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 dot, and press add, right, and then it goes into there, and then I say okay, and then you can see that that one there is that. Then we go on and we do B, which is, you know, maybe you know, I'll simplify it, mostly, right? So add that, and then it does another mostly something as well, so we add that in, and then C might be poorly, you know, or not, you know, sometimes, or something. You get the idea of what we're doing, right? So that's then, and then we can add a next set of criterion rows, which is, you know, the next one would be the IPO diagram, so IPO diag, and don't just do that. I'm doing it really quickly so that you get the idea, and then I might go in and do it. So what I might do is just pause the video now and go and add all those things in. So you would probably want to pause it right now and maybe sit down with someone else, or maybe your leader of learning, and work out your rubrics, or you've probably already got them. So this is your opportunity to just pause the video and then add those in, and we'll come back after that. Okay, so I've now put in all the assessment categories and grading scale columns and criterions of the rows. So you can see that it's just a simple copy and paste, and these ones. Now, yours will be very different. These may be different. You can change them at any time, so you double click on them and change them, or you can just simply add a new grading scale or column, and then it's a simple copy and paste from that. Now, obviously, a point that I need to make is that the students will have already been given this, whether or not you put it into a learning task or whether or not you've physically handed it. My students prefer it to be physically handed to them in a, you know, an assessment task notification with the due dates and what they've got to do, and it's just, this is just something that's going to help you. Okay, so we save that, and then what we want to do is we want to push this out to our where we want it to go. So we then, making sure that we're highlighting this, We then go to tools and we say push to subjects, and we'll come up with our options. Now this is my year 11 one, so if I click on that, I can click on that, or I can, if I minimize that and click on that, nothing happens, but this is the subject that we want it to go to, and we hit push content. And then what we need to do is then go and see where that is. So if we go home and I go to year 11 software design, I'll just wait for it to load, and then we go to that. So if we go to here, you can see that there's nothing there. Our rubric isn't there, and what we find is that a lot of people will assume, oh, my rubric is there, so then I can just click on it and I can actually go to it and mark out my task or my assessment task. The rubric is not here, and there is a reason why. So what we've got to do is we go to school resources, and I'm just going to do this very, very quickly so that you can actually then do it yourself. If we were in the back end again, if we go to TAS and where I created that rubric, you'll see that it's in the software design inside the assessment task. There's the rubric there, and it's not really going to do anything. But if we then go to assessment task and we create a learning task, we can then put that in there, right? So what we do is we go create a learning task, and then obviously my learning task will be this assessment task. So here is my actual official assessment task given to the students. There's some rules and what they've got to do, and then there's all the requirements, and there is that assessment rubric. So what I'll do is I will go to this and I'll say preliminary software. I am a shocker at typing. You'd think I'd be good. Development assessment task 1, and then I will Control A. I'll copy all of this, so Control A to select it all, Control C to copy, and then I'll paste that into there, and the whole thing goes in there. But then what we need to do is we need to add some components into this assessment task. So if I want them to submit something, then I would probably do a universal submission. I'd then go in and create some, maybe some marks or things like that. But if you scroll down the bottom here, you'll see that people have already created rubrics, and you'll see down here is Blackwell Software Design Development. That's why I called it Blackwell, so that I knew that was my one. I should probably call it Software Design Development Assessment Task 1 rubric, and I will fix that up later. If I add that, then now that is inside my components for my learning task. So if I choose OK, and then I choose, if I go back to basic now, I can add the students in there to make it visible. I don't mind having the parents see the task conversation, or if you wanted to just simply mark it and you didn't want the students to see what you were doing, or let's say you just simply wanted a place where you could put your marks into Compass using the assessment rubric, then you could do that. So then of course we save that, and now we've now got a task with our assessment rubric in there. That's what our task is. What we have to do with this one now is push, you can see now that's been attached onto there. So then we now push that to my year 11 software design class. So I click on that and then choose this one. I push this content out, and I know you can stop the video now because you probably get the idea of what I'm doing, but I'm just going to show those what this looks like. So if we go to year 11 and we go to our learning tasks, Now what you'll see is this one. Now, of course, the first thing we have to do is we have to edit it and say we've got to enroll all the students so that we can do it. But you can see that that's the component there is the rubric. Now, what does that look like? Well, if I save that and I click on this, I now have a assessment rubric where I can go, all right, so here's a student, for example, let's choose this one, and then I launch that and I can go bing, bada boom, bada bang, bada bing, and I can mark that. Now, then I can save that, and if I've allowed the student to see that in the task, in the assessment, then of course they will be able to see what they've done. Hope that helps.